Welcome to Spoil Your Baby podcast. I'm Rocio Zunini, and today Greer and I are going to be talking about some myths. And basically, we want to tell you that babies' brains are different. Like, they're not mini adults, they don't have a mini adult brain. Welcome, Greer, and this is what we're going to be talking about, yeah?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many misconceptions about what babies are capable of. Mainstream parenting, most of the parenting we see asks babies to do things that they just absolutely cannot do.
So let's start with the basics. What makes a baby's brain so different from an adult's brain? Why aren't they mini adults?
They're completely different. They're completely different little beings than and they're absolutely the farthest thing from a mini adult. They're just these beautiful, unique little baby beings with very, very special brains. The biggest difference is that babies are not born with a prefrontal cortex, essentially. The prefrontal cortex is not developed. They are not able to do things like rational thinking, planning about the future, emotional regulation, controlling their impulses, right? All of these things that we ask babies to do. And instead, what babies are able to do is have a lot of function and processing from their survival brain and their emotional brain and all the circuits that make up their bodies as well.
Yeah. And so I just want to now talk a little bit about some stuff that I came across on Instagram. And so somebody was posting, about babies, and really they gave under the assumption that they are mini adults, right? And we somehow teach them beliefs, right? So, for example, if we hold our baby all day, then we're teaching them that only I can provide comfort, and that, this is like a bad habit, and like they should be able to also self-soothe, right? Like, another thing I saw was like, if you're always rushing to soothe before they quote unquote try to soothe themselves, then we're somehow teaching them the belief that someone else will always solve my problems for me, and I cannot handle any discomfort or frustration. So, Greer, are we really teaching babies these beliefs when we comfort them?
Goodness. I think we're teaching them things, but we are not teaching them these beliefs whatsoever, right? To start with just, applying that their brains are different than an adult brain. They do not have this prefrontal cortex. The first thing is that we can't teach babies beliefs like this at this time of life, right? And so these are cognitive beliefs, and cognitive beliefs are housed in the prefrontal cortex, right?
Exactly.
And, instead, we're teaching them to wire their emotional brain towards reactivity, towards high stress, and towards mental health struggles, right? So in the kind of name of, I don't want my baby to believe that they must be held in order to feel safe. And I'll tell them that, no, you don't need to be, you can be on your own and be safe. In words, the baby will not believe that. They will not understand that. They don't have the brain parts to understand that. They're living in their emotional brain and their survival brain. And what they will learn is the world is fearful, stressful, and I am not getting the experiences I expect. And I'm going to now wire my brain towards fear and stress.
Absolutely. So what are we to do then if our babies are, crying, if they need us, to fall asleep? What are we to do instead? Like, we're not going to worry then. We're not going to teach them these cognitive beliefs. That's just a myth, right? So what should we do?
Yeah. we have to listen to their survival brain and their emotional brains and not start reasoning with this prefrontal cortex, right? Babies cannot learn anything cognitive, right? As we already said. So what we want to do is when a baby signals, we do want to respond right away because they're communicating from that emotional brain and survival brain. And they're saying, I need help. We're a social species that has, evolved over millions of years to co-regulate, to be interdependent, especially with our babies and especially when they have these unique brains. So we do want to respond as promptly and sensitively as possible. Yeah. And we do want to teach them, you can rely on me during the sensitive period of infancy, and I will be here. And then once their prefrontal cortex does start to come online after infancy, sometimes many years after 3, then we can start teaching them some of these ideas, in a developmentally appropriate way.
Absolutely. So essentially, we need to be sensitive to their signals. We need to know that proximity equals security for them, that we're not creating anything bad here. Yeah. And that soothing occurs via co-regulation. There's not such a thing as a self-soothing in babies. I just want to clarify, when we use the term self-soothing, we mean that a baby is in high stress and that somehow the baby can go from high stress to low stress by himself. So self-soothing doesn't occur in a baby. Soothing occurs via co-regulation.
Absolutely. So anytime you're going to ask your baby something, think, do they need a prefrontal cortex for this? So, the big things the prefrontal cortex does, number 1, planning for the future. So if you start telling your baby, 0 to 3-year-old, don't cry that you can't have an ice cream now. You're going to have the ice cream in 2 hours. Just stop. Stop crying. Don't get upset. I'm trying to tell your prefrontal cortex to hold on. Don't be sad. You're going to have it in 2 hours. They can't do that. They can't plan for the future. You're also asking them in that example to suppress emotion, to control impulsivity, to control emotions. Not possible, right? So the prefrontal cortex plans for the future. It's involved in emotional regulation, right? Impulse control, rational decision-making, understanding some cause and effect, and complex problem solving. So if you're asking your baby to do anything that requires those things, think again, right? They probably just need you to show up for their emotions in those moments versus try to reason with them cognitively, right?
100%. Yeah.
It's such an important thing for parents to know. And it's just so widespread how often parents are asking babies to do things with this. They're assuming mini adult brain and they're dealing with a baby brain. How much struggle it causes in the relationship when the parent's just asking over and over, like, control your impulses, self-soothe, wait for the future, process step A, step B, and step C, and then you'll get to the conclusion in the end, right? Such a power struggle and so much disconnection. That's what we absolutely want to avoid in infancy. So if you understand what the prefrontal cortex does and doesn't do, you'll be way more connected to your baby during these years, which is what we want, right?
100%. So beware out there of any messaging or any advice where somehow we're expecting adult-like behaviors from a brain that isn't built for it yet. So instead, just focus on what we're saying, on responding to the emotional brain, being there for the big emotions, proximity and connection. And these are all essential for healthy brain development.
Absolutely. And if you're already doing this, keep going. If someone's criticizing you for it, stay confident in your approach And if you have not been parenting this way, it is never, ever, ever too late to start, whether your baby is in the 0 to 3 time or if they've graduated out of the 0 to 3 time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're always looking for this sensitivity from our parents and our loved ones. So thank you for tuning in today to our episode about babies' brains are unique and beautiful and are not a mini adult brain. We have to interact with them very, very differently than we would anyone of any other age, any other time of life. Please tune in next week. We'll have a new episode for you next Wednesday. And for now, you can check out our professional certification that Rocio and I are leading on my website, nurture-neuroscience.com. And we'll see you next time.